Look at Meek Mill. I think Meek is probably doing pretty well right now. His only real beef is actually with the DA in fucking Philly.
Alright, I hate beef in hip hop culture because it can ultimately shed a negative light on the culture and can lead to violence as well, as we've seen in the past with the East Coast, West Coast stuff.
Yeah, beef can lead to violence, but it usually doesn't in hip hop. And that's why I actually love it, because I love beef in rap and hip hop culture because it pushes MCs to become the best that they can be, push their boundaries when it comes to lyrics, creative content, and overall the culture just continues to evolve every time there's a new beef. Artists are pushed to, like I said, new boundaries. New artists work together. You see crews collaborating that didn't work together before. Historically, beefs has always caused the culture, and especially rap music, to evolve.
I mean, are we talking about beef or battling? Because I feel like you're talking about battling. Like battling is competitive and healthy, but I'm talking about beef where people are talking about each other's wives and illegitimate children and getting into their personal space and family, and it starts to become personal. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about battling. I'm talking about beef that's personal.
Context of beef doesn't become a thing until the media, when it comes to radio, magazines, the internet, all played into it because they were getting money off of it, right? You have these people who are outside of the culture, writing about the culture and about MCs, especially these black men who are disposable to them, and they can sensationalize that and cause the death or murder, right? But at the end of the day, battle and beef are basically the same damn thing.
Well, I feel like there's always a loser in the beef, though. Like with the Nas Jay-Z beef, Nas is one of my favorite rappers. I think it put a dent on his legacy. I mean, he's still not selling out concert tours, and.
All right, so the Jay-Z Nas beef, right? That actually is literally what we look for when we talk about beefs even moving forward, right? Because that was the one that stayed on the wax, right? Where we want beef, hip hop beef to be like, right? If you look at that beef, it actually caused rap to actually go on the trajectory to right now where it's actually the most consumed music, right? Jay-Z actually gave Nas a second career. That also cemented Jay-Z as arguably the greatest, if not best rapper of all time, right? That caused the Blueprint to come out. It caused Ether to come out. So that was actually the most beautiful hip hop beef ever. So you can't really talk about that and say there was a loser. Nas went on and still is having a great career right now. He's a venture capitalist. Jay-Z right now is one of the biggest moguls in hip hop. So I don't see a loser from that battle.
Well, you said he had to give him a second career. He wouldn't have needed a second career. I feel like if he didn't get involved in that beef. There's always a loser. I don't know where Pusha T's winning. I don't know where Benzito, whatever that Eminem Benzito beef was, Benzito lost. There's always a loser, and it dampers their career. And then, which I feel like affects sales, affects their life, puts a dent on their legacy, like I said.
At the end of the day, beefs historically from, like I said, the first one all the way that we really record as the first hip hop beef when it comes to Kumo D and Busy B, that evolved hip hop culture, right? Literally rappers started rapping literally different. Kumo D literally came with the rap bars, battled him, right? Busy B was a ba dibby ba da ba da ba ba. Like that was rapping at the time. Kumo D literally had a battle with him, and that changed rap forever. Nobody was rapping like that ever since after that, right? And then you move further, right? You look at somebody like LL, who's had the longest career out of most MCs, right? He went against Ice-T, he went against Hammer, quote unquote, he went against Jay-Z, he went against Cannabis, right? And all of these people along the way, they still had careers, right? Jay-Z still doing fine, right? Cannabis' big mistake was probably being with Wyclef instead of signing with somebody who was probably more down his lane. It had nothing to do with the LL beef, right? So at the end of the day, the beef, if you're a good artist, look at Meek Mill. I think Meek is probably doing pretty well right now. His only real beef is actually with the DA in fucking Philly. He's doing quite well with Drake. That Pusha T Drake stuff, Drake had to step his bars up. I think Pusha's doing quite well. He just got married. He was on his honeymoon. I don't think he lost from that battle.
Again, I disagree. I think it puts a lot of negativity. Where's the unity when two dudes and their entourages can't even stand in the same room, be in the same area as each other?
You see that right now in our country, Republicans / conservatives and liberals / Democrats. Like you see that right now. So, I mean, there's always gonna be people who can't stay in the same rooms. Rap is rap, it's competitive. Like it started as a competitive music, as a genre. At the end of the day, you gotta step your bars up. When somebody calls you out, they say you whack or you're not good, it's up to you to step up, right? I play ball. If somebody says I'm not good, it's up to me to step on that court and bust his ass. If he beats me, then he's better than me. Then he can talk all the trash he wants, right? So rap, you gotta show you can rap. At the end of the day, your bars got to back them up. And at the end of the day, when you talk about crews and all these other type of things, that's when it starts getting sensationalized and the media takes that and runs with it. And that's why we have the deaths. But in our culture, we have dudes like Minister Farrakhan. You have dudes who stepped up, Russell Simmons, who stepped up and say, okay, beef and rap should look like this and feel like this. It shouldn't be guns, shouldn't be violence.
Hip hop being the #1 most influential genre right now, it's influencing kids to go at each other, have sides, take sides, colors, red, blue, I rep this, I rep that. So I feel like beef is what sparks all that, and you have to make a positive influence if you're the #1 influential culture, in my opinion. And I think everybody should get behind each other and do that for the kids.
It's up to the parents and whoever else is allowing their kids to listen to the type of music, right? End of the day, as you grow older, you realize rap, especially the way it's growing, it's entertainment. It's like WWE. And the beef, especially when it comes to media, has ran with it ever since they have realized they can make money off of it, right? So at the end of the day, I don't think the current beefs right now, when you look at like the most biggest, latest one with the Pusha T and Drake thing, any kid is going around thinking, okay, I need to go kill Sam down the street. I disagree with that completely. And I think, like I said, we have enough people who are stand-up people in our actual culture, right? Not culture vultures, not people coming from outside of our cultures trying to dictate and talk and write about our culture in a way that makes these black men more disposable and more likely to get killed out here by random people who don't understand the music is a actual entertainment, right? So you have people who are outside of our culture trying to control our culture and paint our culture, and these black men as violent people outside of them just being dope-ass MCs. And so when you start talking about kids are influenced and separating, I think hip hop has been one of the most universal and uniting music genres ever, right? So beef is part of what has got hip hop to where it is to now where it's the #1 genre in the world. So you can't have one without the other, right? Jay-Z said to be Bobby then, you gotta be Bobby now.
My thing is though with the Tekashi 6ix9ine and he's in the hospital bed and beat up, people are saying it's fake, it's not real. Like you said, WWE is fake. Are we saying hip hop is fake now? We're staging beat ups and beat downs and stuff like that. I don't feel like hip hop should be like WWE. I feel like it's more real than that.
Well, yeah, when you have somebody who's quote unquote doesn't write his own rhymes being quote unquote the biggest person in rap music right now, you can see why it looks like WWE, right? Authenticity was one of the things that made rap and hip hop what it was from its original creators. We actually see right now where you, like I said, anything from ghostwriting to collaborating on tracks, rap has been one of the only genres where we actually look for the person who's performing the songs to actually be the person who wrote them. So as you see, we move further and further away from that, you can see why it looks fake, it looks scripted. So yeah, the music is gonna look like how the culture and people who were controlling it wanted to look and feel like.
I personally think that like Watch the Throne, for example, when Kanye and Jay-Z collaborated, that was like one of my favorite albums. So like it's deadening the possibilities of collaboration. I feel like I would like to hear a Drake and Pusha T records. I feel like I like to hear a Jay-Z and Nas record, and all these people that have beefs, they're not doing records together. When I
Jay-Z and Nas had a track together. They actually
Not
made
recently.
They made a
When?
track actually when they squashed the beef, actually. Black Republicans. After they squashed the beef, after Jay-Z signed Nas to Def Jam, they made a song called Black Republicans. Go look it up. So there are no losers when a beef is actually happens the way it's supposed to happen, like the culture intended it to happen. When you have outside entities trying to make the beef something that it isn't, that's when people start dying. And that's where you have people faking their beefs, people trying to do other things because they understand the media is going to run with it bigger than the fans. The fans take what the medias are taking them from the beef. So the lyrics now don't matter as much because they see headlines, right? The East Coast, West Coast stuff got big because you saw the East Coast, West Coast on the Vibe magazine with Diddy and Puffy. That's what people saw those headlines and ran with it. People weren't necessarily listening to the lyrics as much. So what we have to do is get back to the core and the essence of the beef and the battle. Until we move away from letting our outside entities who don't understand the culture tell us how beef should look and sound, we won't continue to like have the most authentic beefs that we've been having, like from Jay-Z and Nas to even this Pusha T and Drake situation.
The winners make their fortune on the back of the loser, right? Which is capitalism, which is the problem, which is the 1%ers making money on the back of the 99%. People are cashing out their whole paychecks to buy Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton owners on yachts and stuff. So I feel like the losers, the winners of the beefs are making money on the backs of the losers. And I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I missed that analogy right there. But anyway, most of the critically acclaimed and the biggest beefs, there were true losers, right? Because we still talk about those beefs to this very moment, right? When those names come up, people go back on Tidal, they go back on Spotify, they go back on Apple Music, and they listen to those songs. So at the end of the day, the culture evolves. People like these beefs, right? These beefs cause rappers to step their bars up. Jay-Z caused Nas to step his bars up. Nas wasn't making that dope music right now, right? Nas is one of my favorite artists.
Nas wasn't making dope music, Illmatic. I just think the tension went off of him because of the beef.
He just dropped a bunch of different Nas albums, but they all came after the beef with Jay-Z. Because KRS-One and MC Sam is one of the biggest beefs ever, right? So, because KRS-One literally battled Queensbridge, right? Juice Crew was representing Queensbridge, right? MC Sam said hip hop started out in Queensbridge, right? KRS-One said, nah, we're not having that. You're not gonna be telling lies, right? It started out in the South Bronx. So he came out with the South Bronx, right? South Bronx. MC Sam came with Kill the Noise, right? And then the Bridges overcame, and literally that changed the sound of hip hop again. And it goes back to what I'm saying. When these beefs happen, they cause MCs to step their bars up. It causes a change in a different sound in the music and a different vibration, and it causes overall culture just to evolve, right? Because you saw what KRS-One did from that, right? If MC Sam never responds to KRS-One, KRS-One doesn't have the career he has, right? But the beef, the battle, it has to happen. You have to respond. When somebody calls you out, you have to respond. And that's what causes it to happen. Now, if you don't have bars, then you can stay away. But if you got bars, you better respond.
Again, I think we're talking about two different things, battling versus beef. Where battling, I do feel is healthy. I think battling somebody is healthy, but when it gets to these beef where it's personal and you gotta take sides and different things like that, and it leads to disruption, discourse, separation, that's where I have a problem. It's not the battling is sick. I mean, 8 Mile was a huge movie and it was about battling. When the battles lead to beef, to where you do not like somebody because of the battling and you took it personal, why are they taking it personal? Why would you take it so personal if it's just battling and I'm pushing you to step your bars up? So if I came at you and I put a damper on your career, how is that positive? I just took money from you, basically. It's stealing. It's like stealing money. For somebody bigger like Jay-Z or Eminem or somebody to go after the little guy and put a damper on his career, I don't feel like that's fair to that guy. I mean, battling's healthy, but beef, I think, is not.
So when you look at even traditionally, when you say it's usually never the big guy actually coming at the little guy. It's usually the little to middle guy taking a shot at the big guy and seeing if the big guy will respond, right? 50 Cent made a song called The Art of Robbing, right? And where he took shots at every MC, right? Jay-Z didn't have to respond to him, but Jay-Z was like, man, fuck this little dude, right? I'm gonna let him know he can't fuck with me. So he said, I'm about $1. What the fuck is 50 cents, right? At the end of the day, it's up to the bigger artists to say, I can either give him some shine and recognize this like bars that he's having against me, or I can dust it off my shoulders and keep it going, right? But you have to respond, right? And that beef, whether it's personal or not, it's nothing off the table. It's no hold bar when it comes to battle, when it comes to beef in hip hop. And it's only a bad thing when the media takes it and run with it. The closest I love beef in hip hop because it continues to push the culture. I mean, all the way from the earliest battles to the very most recent one. Like, we got great entertainment, we got, more importantly, great bars, and we got great music. It pushed Pusha to come out with great music, which we got, and it pushed Drake to even push to step his bars up and have to rebrand this whole thing, but we got better music from him. Because I don't think the album that we would have got before the Pusha tracks was what we got now.
I still have to stand by my decision that I hate beef in hip hop culture. I mean, music business, media is a part of that. If Pusha T and Drake were friends and squashed it and made amazing music together and collaborated and helped each other out, and Drake got him in some business like Pusha T, and everybody started making money together instead of beefing and separating the money, I think the only way to make money together is to come together and break bread, as they say.
I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree, man.
All right, man.
What up, squad? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you can hit the subscribe button. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram by clicking the links below. Until next time, thanks for watching All Def Music.